धारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदा यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदा यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदा यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण जय गौरानिताय 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 जय गौरानिताय गौरानिताय जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्री श्रीमती डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिल प्रभुपाद की इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य बीबीटी फाउंडर आचार्य सेवियर ऑफ द होल वर्ल्ड शिल प्रभुपाद की जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्री श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी ठाकुर शिल प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नामाचार्य शिल हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपिका श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिराज गोवर्धन की ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की मथुरापुरी धाम की पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की श्री नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की गंगा मैया की यमुना मैया की भक्ति देवी की श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी की समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा मदन मोहन की श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्र मैया की श्री श्री गौर निताय की शिल गोविंद घोष की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द assembled devotees all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to the assembled devotees all glories all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन् इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4th, Chapter 22nd, Chapter entitled Prithu Maharaj's Meeting with the Four Kumaras, Text number 57. Please repeat. Durdharashas Tejasevagnir Mahendra Iva Durjayah Titikshaya Dharitriva द्यौर एवाभीष्टदो नृणां दुर्धर्षस्तेजसेवाग्निर् महेन्द्र इव दुर्जयः तितिक्षया धरित्रीव द्यौरेवाभीष्टदो नृणाम् दुर्धर्षस्तेजसेवाग्निर् महेन्द्र इव दुर्जयः तितिक्षया धरित्रीव द्यौरेवाभीष्टदो नृणाम् Mataji's, what age they used to release Brahmastras. But all these Brahmastras and nuclear weapons are insignificant compared to the thunderbolt of the King of Heaven. When Indra releases a thunderbolt, even the biggest hills and mountains crack. On the other hand, Maharaj Prithu was as tolerant as the earth itself, and he fulfilled all the desires of his citizens, just like torrents of rain from the sky. Without rainfall, it is not possible to fulfill one's various desires on this planet. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, 14th verse, Parjanyad Anna Sambhavaha. Food grains are produced only because rain falls from the sky, and without grains, no one on the earth can be satisfied. Consequently, an unlimited distribution of mercy is compared to the water falling from the clouds. Maharaj Prithu distributed his mercy incessantly, much like rainfall. In other words, Maharaj Prithu was softer than a rose flower and harder than a thunderbolt. In this way, he ruled over his kingdom. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padhan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So welcome to the morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. We have been discussing from the 4th canto, 22nd chapter, in which Prithu Maharaj meeting with the 4 Kumaras was just described. After their departure, there are some verses starting with 48 up to 63rd verses. They talk about the glorious rule of Prithu Maharaj. or his qualities. So Prithu Maharaj is a great king in the dynasty of Swayambhuva Manu. We find him described in the 4th canto particularly. He comes in the dynasty of Uttanapad king. Swayambhu Manu had 2 sons and 3 daughters. The 2 sons were Priyavrat and Uttanapad, and 3 daughters were Akuti, Devahuti and Prasuti. So when in the Gurukul both the children were sent, both the sons, of which Priyavrat did not return only. He remained in the Narad Muni's Gurukul. He liked to remain brahmachari. He got heavily influenced by Narad Muni's preaching. He remained as a brahmachari. So younger son came back, Uttanpad. He was made the king by Swayambhu Manu. Then his son Dhruva Maharaj, that was described in the previous chapters. And down the line, Anga, Vena, and then from Vena comes Prithu Maharaj, who ruled very gloriously. And he was also blessed with the association of the 4 Kumaras. After serving them very nicely, then these are few verses in which his ruling over the earth is very nicely described. So it is said, a king who rules the world must have exalted qualities. For that matter, everybody is having some qualities. And a person is known by his qualities. Prabhupada says speech is the important quality of any person. One remains undetected. A fool remains undetected till he speaks. One may be very nicely dressed and look very beautiful, may look very rich and all that. But if he opens his mouth and speaks all the rubbish things of the mundane world, of his sense gratificatory plans, then it is all useless. So qualities are most important. We have 4 things about the Supreme Lord also: name, fame, qualities and pastimes. So about the Lord everything is glorious. About us, the name, okay, it is just for a differentiation. This person is different from that person. So for that reason names are there. Form, the world may stress a lot of stress on this. How we look like, how one is dressed, how all those other things. That's why so many cosmetics and so many other things. But then form is also not important. Form keeps changing also. Krishna said, Dehi nosmin yatha dehi, Kaumaram Yauvanam Jara. And as eventually one enters in the old age, the form will not look beautiful, though it might have been very beautiful in the youthful days. So what is most important are the qualities for any person, and speech is the most important for that matter in general. So here there are many qualities. In particular, this particular verse, 57th verse says, Maharaj Prithu was so strong and powerful, Durdharsha, Tejasevagnir, and that no one could disobey his orders any more than one could conquer fire itself. Now, who can conquer fire? It's almost impossible. Some great warriors could do, like Arjun says that Vayo Riva Sudushkaram. I cannot control my mind, I can control the wind. So they were very powerful archers, warriors, they could. But otherwise, in general, controlling the fire is almost an impossibility. When there are big fires in the big cities, they have this fire brigade coming, and with full force all those people are working. To some extent they may be successful, but to great extent there is a lot of damage there. The building gets burnt, many people die also. So fire cannot be conquered over. Similarly, the qualities, Prithu Maharaj was so strong and powerful that no one could disobey his orders. He was so strong that he was compared to Indra, the king of heaven, whose power is insuperable. On the other hand, Maharaj Prithu was also as tolerant as the earth, and in fulfilling various desires of human society, he was like heaven itself. So here are few qualities of Prithu Maharaj: his strength, his power, also his tolerance, and compared with king of heaven, Agni, fire, etc. And the qualities will continue in the further shlokas also, up to 63 also. So in Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, Krishna talks about the qualities of the 4 people, 4 varnas: Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. About Kshatriyas he says, Kshauriyam tejo dhrutirdaaksham yuddhe chapi apalayanam danam ishwara bhavasya kshatram karma swabhavajam. So some qualities of Kshatriyas. Here Prithu Maharaj, so to say externally, he is in the Kshatriya dynasty, he is a warrior, he is a ruler. So Shauriyam, they are heroic, heroism, they are very heroic. Then Tejo, they have a lot of power. Kshatriyas, that's why in the social body are compared to hands, arms, and we can see Kshatriyas just by their arms we can understand. The Brahmanas, if you see, they are very lean and thin, hardly any muscles and all, and they will never show off. But the Kshatriyas, like in the kingdom of Magad, when Jarasandha was ruling, and the three Kshatriyas, Krishna, assisted by Bhim and Arjun, when they entered, and they were disguised as Brahmanas. They stood in the line where Jarasandha was distributing charity. They all were towards the end. And Jarasandha was engaged in the act of charity. He was giving whatever people wanted, he was just giving. But then somehow he just could not, his eyes could not, forgo the sight that these Brahmanas towards the end, three of them standing, they are so powerful. And they were so Brahmanas, so powerful like them. And as they were coming closer, he was giving charity here, but all of his attention was drawn by them only. And sure enough, when they came close, he saw them very closely, and it was very clear, these just can't be Brahmanas. On the top of that, there were marks of quiver. The Kshatriyas, they have this quiver, in that they have their arrows. So because of holding it all the time, there are some marks created. On three of them, their marks were very visible. And then he asked, what do you want in charity? I'm ready to give anything. And they said, duel. We want to fight with you. So sure enough, Brahmanas are never interested in fighting. In fact, they are the ones who stop all the fights in the society, because their internal quarrels are all over for a Brahmana. There are no material desires. So only because of material desires, there is so much of quarrel, so much of disturbance within the heart. So such a person is unqualified to set right the quarrels in the society. So Brahmanas, they are completely undisturbed. Dhiras tatrana muhyati. They have no material desires. Like in Chaitanya Charitamrita it is said, Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Ataiva Shantam. A pure devotee of the Lord has absolutely no material desires. That's why he is very shanta, peaceful. No matter what turbulence may be going on around, the devotee of the Lord is undisturbed. He doesn't get disturbed. And that's how then he can calm down others who are so much disturbed. In one of the characteristics of Kali Yuga people is Upadritaha, the last characteristic. They are always disturbed. You can see, to the degree we have material desires, selfishness, to that degree one will be always disturbed. And that's why in the Kali Yuga society today, in this 21st century, particularly in the cities where people are very passionate, and they are so disturbed. Every moment they are disturbed. In general, it is the characteristic of people in Kali Yuga, more so for city people who are very passionate, ambitious, and they have so many material desires. So they are always disturbed. So it requires a Brahman to calm them down. He can be very cool. Seeing him cool, they will be wondering, how can he be so cool? And then he will be asked, sir, what makes you so cool? Then he can say, because I am focused on the Supreme. Those which are not changing truths. There are so many relative truths which keep changing. And anybody who takes those relative truths to be absolute truths, he will be always disturbed. But the Brahman is always focused on absolute truth, which never changes. In all the time, place and circumstances, the absolute truth remains the same. So those who are focused on eternal principles, they are undisturbed. And those who are focused on temporary principles, they will be disturbed. So it takes a Brahman. So Tejo, they have power. The Kshatriyas have power. Dhrutir, they have a lot of determination. They will decide something and they will take it to the end. They will achieve it. Daksham, they are resourceful. Yuddhecha api apalayanam. They don't run away from the battlefield. They will be very heroic. They will die, they will take all the arrows, all the weapons on their chest, but they will not show their back to the other opponents and run away from the battle. If they do that, they are considered very low class. They are considered not even than Kshatriyas, Kshatra Bandhu. They are born in Kshatriya family, but they don't have qualities of a Kshatriya. Danam, they have generosity. That's like we saw in the case of Jarasandha, for that matter Karna, Duryodhan. When Arjuna approached him and said that I have come to you, he said, whatever you want, I will give. You want the kingdom, I will give you. And they just don't say that, they mean it. But they also know, Duryodhan knew, Arjuna will not be interested in kingdom without war. So, but he gave offer, and if Arjuna would have said, yes, I want the kingdom, immediately Duryodhan would have given. Similarly, Karna also, his Kavach Kundal was there, born with that for his protection. But when he was asked by Indra, disguised as a Brahman, that please give me your Kavach Kundal, he had to cut it from his body, so much of bleeding, but he gave it. So they have this dana bhav, they have this generosity, Ishwara bhav, that is leadership, and Shatra karma svabhavajam. So these are the qualities of Kshatriyas by which they rule. The root word for ruling is shas, shasan, government. So those who are in the government, they do this. So they do this through shastra. They are very expert in holding the weapons. They know how to use the weapons, and they will bring opponent who is against the law under control by all the means. They are very powerful. They fight alone. They don't need any help also. They are Maharathis. Like that, a lot of qualities are described. Brahmanas rule by Shastra. They tell the Shastras and bring a person under control. That's how we find some few centuries back, around a century back, so many people, Pandits, so many learned people in India who would have so many debates, and the opponent would, he would become subservient to such a leader, like Madhvacharya, around 800 years back. He went all around India and he challenged so many people, and rather so many others also were interested in defeating Madhvacharya. They would have debate, and Madhvacharya very effortlessly would defeat them. Then they would become his followers, his disciples. So through Shastra one can bring the opponent under control, or through Shastra one can bring under control. So the Kshatriyas, they bring others under control through Shastra. They are there for protection of the innocent, protection of the weaklings in the society. Kshati trayate iti kshatriyaha. One who protects others from harm. The innocent people are always attacked, harmed by those who are very arrogant, those who are against the law. So such kind of injustice should be avoided. And when it is done, then the Kshatriya gives proper justice by fighting against the opponents. So 5 types of weaklings are there in society: the children, the women, the brahmanas, old men, and cows. So they need to be protected. And the Kshatriya is famous for protection. They have so much bahubal. They have a lot of, in Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna at times addresses Arjuna as Mahabahu, one who has great arms. Arms everybody has, but there is hardly any strength in the arms. But the Kshatriya has a lot of strength with him. So these Kshatriyas represent the Supreme Lord. Here in particular, Prithu Maharaj, he is a Rajarshi, the sage amongst the king. Their externally gross body is of a king, but the subtle body is very much like a sage. So that is called as a Rajarshi. So Prithu Maharaj was one such Rajarshi. So they act on behalf of the Supreme Lord. Whatever the Lord wants, the way he wants the law to be in the society, so they exactly administer in the same way. They are in touch with the Supreme Lord, either directly because of being very great pure devotees of the Lord, or if not, through some Brahmanas who also represent the Supreme Lord. And that is how what the 3 functions of the Lord, they say God, generator, operator, and destroyer. So similarly, Kshatriyas also, they generate so many avenues, so many facilities for the citizen to be able to peacefully practice Krishna consciousness, particularly. Having their gross needs also fulfilled, but simultaneously they are able to practice Krishna consciousness also. So they generate for, and they make sure that the things are maintained, those which are very important. And any kind of opposition to the law, to the dharma, so then the Kshatriya will destroy the mentality in the opponent, or if required, they will destroy the opponent himself. They will not spare his life also. We find in the case of Parikshit Maharaj, in the first canto, when he was going all around Bharatvarsha. This is not just India, this is Bharatvarsha. So he was going all around, and at one point of time when he found that a bull was attacked by some very rogue kind of person, dressed as a king, at once Parikshit Maharaj drew his sword and he was about to kill him. But when that person surrendered, then Kshatriyas have to give protection. So these are the qualities. In particular, Prabhupada here towards the end focuses on the contrasting quality or opposites of Prithu Maharaj, which is very much there in the translation also, or in the verse also. Titikshaya dharitriva dyor eva abhishtado nrunam. Though he was very powerful, like we discussed some of the things, but he was simultaneously very tolerant also. As far as personal insult goes, one should be able to tolerate. That is not very much the characteristic of a Kshatriya. Kshatriya is tested by how much he cannot tolerate an insult. And that is very much required for administration. Just like in the case of Dhruva Maharaj, just a small boy of 5 years, but when his stepmother Suruchi, who saw him trying to climb on the throne where Uttanapad was sitting, and his stepbrother Uttam was sitting on one lap, other lap is empty, and children have the nature, whenever they find their brother, cousins, they have a particular thing, they also want it. So he thought, might as well I would sit in the another lap, which is anyway empty. When he was attempting to be there, behind Suruchi was there, she at once said, Dhruva, you cannot sit there. You are not qualified. Because you are not born from my womb. If at all you have to sit there, you have to give up this body. This is useless body because not born from my womb. And you have to take another body from my womb. Then you can sit there. When he heard it, he was so angry, so angry. Just imagine if we would have been in such place, maybe we would not have understood. But the Kshatriyas, his blood was boiling, his eyes became red hot, and then his hair disheveled, and he looked behind. It was well known that Suruchi is only there, stepmother. From voice he could understand, but still he looked back, and sure enough she was there. Then he looked at his father, Uttanapad, who was right in front, and Dhruva had almost reached his lap. So he looked at father, please. He did not speak, his eyes spoke. Please give justice. I have been, this is injustice. I am also your son, I can sit there. So then Uttanapad, being he was attached to his another wife, Suruchi, he was silent. Attachment makes one helpless. Attachment makes one, he will be committing lot of injustice. Anybody who is attached materially, he will not be able to do justice. So here Uttanapad shows by his life that he could not do justice to his very young, innocent child. And then Dhruva became so angry, we know the rest of the story. He went to the forest in order to get kingdom greater than his great-grandfather. So that is the level of the Kshatriyas. They can be very angry, intolerant about the insult. But then also, as far as personal insult goes, in personal life, one should be very tolerant. Amanina, manadena. One should respect others, and one should not expect respect for oneself. So one who gives respect to others, he will not expect any respect for himself. Or if one takes all the respect for himself, then what remains to offer to others? Nothing remains. So one should not take respect. One can take it for the parampara, one can take it for the lineage, not for oneself. So here Prithu Maharaj is described to be very powerful, but simultaneously very tolerant. Whenever it comes to tolerance, physical tolerance, etc., then always the analogy is about Mother Earth, Bhumata. She is very tolerant. So many big mountains are there on the body of Mother Earth. So many huge oceans are there. And so many buildings, so many trees, so many things. She can tolerate everything. She has a lot of tolerance. But it is said that she cannot tolerate even the sins of one man who is very sinful. That's why then Lord comes again and again, because the consort Bhudevi has a lot of difficulty with such sinful people. Then the Lord personally comes and kills all those people. So he was exacting taxes like the sun, but then he was also mercifully distributing so many avenues, so many things, facilities for his citizen, like rainfall. Sun in the summer season is very hot, scorching sun rays. Through that it takes water, and then eventually comes in the form of rainfall and gives out all the water. In fact, apparently even in the places where it seems water is not required. So that is, both the sides are there in the sun. We can see that it takes all the water from the surface of the earth, but then also gives out in another season. So that kind of behavior is very much there in those who are in the mode of goodness. Those who are in the mode of passion and ignorance, generally they will be conducted by one thing only. There will be one extreme. So passion is on one extreme and ignorance is on another extreme. One will be very much inactive in ignorance. He is very lazy, doesn't want to, is very sluggish. So much inspiration you have to give. Still whether he will get up for doing work or seva or not is a question. And the other side, somebody is hyperactive. And you have to stop him. Prabhu, wait. Wait. Let others also do. You are only doing everything. So one is hyperactive on the other side. But the person in the mode of goodness, he is just appropriately active. He knows when to do things himself and when to empower others or allow others to do also, so that they also make progress. So the two extremes are there. As long as one is in passion, very active, and one is in ignorance, inactive, then one will have lot of difficulty, and he creates problem for himself as well as for people around him. So that's why what is required, expected is to be in the mode of goodness, basic minimum. Everywhere in Bhagavad Gita, all the instructions, they focus on being in the mode of goodness. Like karmanneva adhikar asti, just perform your duty. So be in the mode of goodness. Mahaphaleshu kadachan, don't be attached to the fruits of your action. That means don't be passionate. Anybody who works, like all these people in Hyderabad, software, high-tech city and all, so many software engineers, tell them you won't have any salary at the end of the month. Will anyone go there to the company? Nobody will go. So they know lucrative jobs, lot of payment, 5-digit number. So everybody is mad to come from wherever villages and all that to cities like Hyderabad, Bangalore, Delhi, Mumbai, etc. So don't be attached to the fruits of your action. That means don't be passionate. Ma karma phala heturbhur mate sangosto karmani. Don't be attached to not doing your work also. Now, if I'm not going to get anything through my work, then I won't work. No, don't be attached to not doing your duty also. You have to do it without being attached to the fruits. So that means don't be in ignorance. So very clearly message of Krishna everywhere in Bhagavad Gita is at least be in the mode of goodness. Nowhere he recommends passion or ignorance. Yukta ahara viharasya, yukta chestasya karmasu. Or nati, what is it says? Don't be too much eating. That means ignorance. Ignorant fellows eat like anything. They have all the time in their life to keep eating only. Nothing else is there. And then next is sleeping. But passionate people don't have time to eat only. They will hardly eat. So don't eat too less. Don't sleep too much like ignorant people, and don't sleep too less like passionate people. So yukta, just the appropriate quantity, what is required for recovering body or having healthy body, eating, sleeping, etc. So goodness is very much recommended, and those who are in the mode of goodness, they are in the middle. Many times we hear, don't be extremist, be in the middle path. That is in the mode of goodness. So he is not inactive like ignorant fellow, and he is not hyperactive like a passionate fellow. He knows when to act himself and when to delegate, when to tell others to do the things. Such a person can show such example, what he is being talked over here. Because in earlier section of third canto, where Lord Kapila talks to Mother Devahuti, bhakti was described in 3 modes, in ignorance, passion and goodness. So all the examples come in the 4th canto. In ignorance, Daksha performed. In passion, Dhruva performed. And in goodness, Prithu Maharaj performed. So Prithu Maharaj is very much in the mode of goodness. In fact, he is the administrative potency of the Lord, who is setting right norm, right example. So this is what is said here. Prabhupada quotes towards the end of the purport. Maharaj Prithu distributed his mercy incessantly, much like rainfall. In other words, Maharaj Prithu was softer than a rose flower and harder than a thunderbolt. In this way, he ruled over his kingdom. So how to have two extremes? It's just not possible for a passionate person or ignorant person. The ignorant people, they are many times fearful because they don't have knowledge. When one is in ignorance, doesn't know what's going to come, then he is very much fearful of the future. And those who are passionate, they are conducted by their material desires. So they also will be on other side, other extreme. Only those who are in the mode of goodness, they are on the duty platform. So duty towards others, duty towards family members, duty towards society, duty towards, so certainly Guru, certainly towards the Supreme Lord. So Brahmanas are like that. They are that way I will know about you, I could meet you. So then Mahaprabhu says, okay. Then Advaita Acharya sent 4 devotees with him, Nityananda Prabhu, Mukunda, Damodar Pandit and Jagdanand Pandit. With them Mahaprabhu reaches Puri. So this was in Falgun. In the Chaitra he delivered Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who was a great Mayavadi scholar, logician. And in the beginning of Vaishak month of 1510, Mahaprabhu decides to go to South India, apparently for the cause of finding out the details about his brother, elder brother, Vishwarup, who had taken sannyas. Mahaprabhu knew he had taken sannyas, he had gone to Pandharpur and he had gone back home, back to Godhead also. He is no more on earth. But because others don't know, Mahaprabhu is taking nice undue advantage of their ignorance. And then he says, I want to go in search of my brother. So then he goes to Sarvam Bhattacharya, whom he had delivered just a month back, or less than a month rather. Then he goes and says, my dear Sarvam Bhattacharya was engaged in deity worship at home. He says, he offers obeisances to deities, and Sarvam Bhattacharya, I says, please bless me. I have to go to South India for searching the details about my brother. As soon as Sarvam Bhattacharya hears about Mahaprabhu's desire to go to South India, he is like whole world is to an end, coming to an end for him. He says, Bahu janmer punya phale painu tomara sanga, heno sanga vidhi more korile ka bhanga. After many lifetimes of pious activities, Vidhata, the providence, provided me with your holy association. But now that association is being broken because you are desiring to go to the south. Then he says, Shire vajra padi jadi putra mari jai, taha sahi tomara viched sahana na jai. Even if thunderbolt falls on my head, yesterday was such thundering. It was kind of, somebody might get heart attack, so heavy. The thunderbolt is mentioned also here of Indra, so powerful. So he says, even if Shire vajra padi, even on my head vajra, Indra's thunderbolt falls, I can tolerate that. Putra mari jai, even if my son dies, I can tolerate that also. Tomara vicheda sahana na jai, I cannot just tolerate separation from you. In one sense, he's saying, please don't go. But he says, you are independent Lord, who could stop you? So you will go anyway, but my desire is that you just stay for 5-7 more days. Mahaprabhu says, fine. So Mahaprabhu stays and comes daily for these 5-7 days to the house of Sarvam Bhattacharya, his wife, Shatir Mata. She cooks for the Lord. They offer to the home deities, and Lord takes prasadam every day for those days. Then he decides to go further. So then Sarvam Bhattacharya agrees. Okay. Then Mahaprabhu is going. Many details are there. Sarvam Bhattacharya tells Gopinath Acharya get some 4 clothes so that Mahaprabhu in his tour could wear those saffron clothes. Then they are proceeding, they go close to Alarnath. So that time the Lord tells Bhattacharya that please now you may go back and allow me to go further. So then Sarvam Bhattacharya requests at the lotus feet of the Lord that yes, one more last request, that as you go to Rajamundri, Kur, so you will find the minister of Prataprudra. His name is Ramanand Rai. He is a great devotee. Earlier, because I was a dry logician, I just did not understand his glories. And I just made fun of him, being a Vaishnava. But now I understand, by your mercy, I have become devotee. Now I understand what a high quality, caliber devotee this Ramanand Rai is. So you please associate with him. Don't neglect him, thinking him to be some ordinary materialistic person. In his association, you will relish the Krishna consciousness, because he is a Rasika Bhakta. He is a relisher of the rasas in devotional service. So Mahaprabhu says, fine. So when Mahaprabhu is leaving now, so that time Mahaprabhu gives last instruction to Sarvam Bhattacharya. Ghare Krishna bhaji more kariha ashirvade, nilachale asiyena tomara prasade. You be at home and worship the Lord, deities, at your house. Kariha ashir more kariha ashirvade, and pray to the deities and bless me. Mahaprabhu is so humble. Nilachale asi, I will come back to Nilachal. Yena tomara prasade. By your mercy, soon I will come back to Jagannath Puri. So Mahaprabhu is so humble with Sarvam Bhattacharya. He is seeking his blessing. He requested him stay for 5-7 more days. Mahaprabhu stayed back also. And now also he is requesting, please pray for me, please bless me. Then what happens? Eta boli Mahaprabhu karila gaman, murchita haya taha padila sarvabhaum. Mahaprabhu then just left. Seeing Mahaprabhu leave, Sarvam Bhattacharya fell down unconscious. What was Mahaprabhu's response? Tare upekshya kaila shigra gaman, kebujite pare Mahaprabhu rachittaman. Mahaprabhu just neglected. Just imagine somebody is feeling separation from you, and it's not like a train which you are in, and the train has started. This is walking only. So one can as well, quite nicely, he can stay back. For some time, the person has fallen unconscious. But Mahaprabhu just neglected him and quickly started walking away from Sarvam Bhattacharya. Ke bhujite pare Mahaprabhur chittaman. Who can understand the heart and mind of great souls, here in particular of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? So Prabhupada in the purport says that it was expected that Mahaprabhu will stay back, console him. It's like sprinkling water and saying, "Are you okay? Is it okay? Should I go? Don't mind. I'll come back quickly." Nothing of that sort. Mahaprabhu just left. So Prabhupada says, it is therefore very difficult to understand the activities of a transcendental person. Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra Vigyena Bhujai. It's very difficult to understand a devotee. Might as well, many will misunderstand him. It takes one to know one. It takes another pure devotee, another great soul to understand intentions of a devotee or activities of a devotee. Otherwise, many times it can be just misunderstood only. So Prabhupada says, sometimes they may seem rather odd, but a transcendental personality remains in his position unaffected by material considerations. So those who are in passion and ignorance, they are conducted by material consideration. The fear is there. So out of fear, one may go to any extent, do anything in ignorance. And in passion, one has material desires. For the achievement of one's material desires, one will go to another extent or to any extent. And he will kill also many people. We have histories filled with so many people like Hitler, Stalin, who did not spare the lives of lakhs of people they killed without any second thought. So merciless because of their own ambitions, their own material desires, their own selfishness. But those who are not conducted by such selfish desires, those who are in the mode of goodness or in pure goodness, they are the ones who remain unaffected by material considerations. They don't have any personal motive. They just see what is Guru's desire or what is the desire of the Supreme Lord coming through some another person. Next sloka is kind of conclusion. He says, Mahanubhavera chitter swabhava yai pushpa sama komala kathina vajramay. This is the Mahanubhaver chitter swabhav. This is the swabhav, nature of the heart of the Mahanubhavas, great pure devotees of the Lord himself. Pushpa sama komal. At times they are very soft in their behavior. And the way pure devotees speak, and we may feel, wow, Hari Bol. He said, thank you. Sometimes like a boy in love with a girl, or some girl says, thank you. The boy feels, wow, my life is perfect. Like that. But if they marry, then it doesn't remain. The charm is not there. But the charm is always there with a pure devotee. Because he is completely pure. He is not saying thank you because he served his purpose. Because you served the Lord's purpose, that's why he's saying thank you. It is coming from the bottom of his heart. And it is very deep, out of deep gratitude that a pure devotee says. That's why we feel completely drawn towards pure devotees. So many disciples of Srila Prabhupada say that just one act, one dealing with Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said something or smiled, and for whole life they are completely charmed by it. They just can go on and on and on because of that one interaction or one smile, one word, something like that. Because it springs from the heart, from the bottom of the heart. It's out of deep gratitude. But on the other times, at other times, we will find them hard like thunderbolt, or harder than thunderbolt also. Because when the Guru finds, or Krishna finds, that a devotee is not behaving properly, he is misbehaving, he is not a proper offering for Guru Parampara, then Guru can become so heavy that there is no limit. Prabhupada sometimes would be, the height of his anger would be, he would neglect the person, devotee in front of him. He would talk to the devotee behind as if there is nobody in between. How would you feel if somebody is in front of you and he's talking to person behind you and not recognizing your presence at all? It is worse than death experience. The Prabhupada would be so angry also. But that was not because there was some false ego disturbance and all that. Prabhupada never had false ego. He's a pure devotee of the Lord. He saw this person has committed mistake, blunders in the service of the Lord. So he has to be corrected. He has to fall on his knees. He has to beg forgiveness and he has to rectify his behavior, his mistake. then Prabhupada has no problem in further dealings with such a person. So Mahaprabhu also is like that. In the purport it is said, the softness of a flower and the hardness of a thunderbolt are reconciled in the behavior of a great personality. And then he quotes from Uttar Ramacharita, next verse, that explains the behavior. Vajradapi kathorani mruduni kusumadapi lokottaranam chetamsi konu vigyatumishvaraha. Same, Vajradapi kathorani. They are harder than thunderbolt. Mruduni kusumadapi. They are softer than rose petals. Lokottaranam chetamsi. How can one accommodate such contradictions in great personalities? But they have it. That's what we have been discussing. Other time also we find when Prataprudra was very much in love with Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. After Mahaprabhu leaves for South India tour, then Prataprudra comes to Puri and he meets this Sarvam Bhattacharya. Says that I heard that a great personality, saintly personality from Bengal came and he had some interaction with him. Then Sarvam Bhattacharya says, not great saintly personality, Krishna himself, the supreme personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna himself has appeared in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then immediately king says, Prataprudra says, then I accept it. You say, so I accept it fully. So by the way, I want to meet him. Is it possible for you to arrange meeting with him? Then immediately he says, oh no, Virakta Sannyasi. He is a very renounced sannyasi. He will not want to meet any person like king who is always surrounded by women and wealth. So forget it. So that's just not possible. He has anyway, I would have still tried, but he has anyway gone for South India tour. Then immediately Prataprudra says, leaving Lord Jagannath, who is residing here in Puri always, why is this person or Krishna gone to South? Then Sarva Bhattacharya says, who can understand the confidential reasons of this, the heart of the great souls? Basically deliverance of others, he has gone. But he will come back soon. When he comes back, he will need a place to stay. So why don't you arrange some place which should be nearby to Jagannath temple. Jagannath temple around so much of noise there. So many shopkeepers, so many pilgrims. So it's very noisy place. So it should be close to Jagannath temple, but very quiet place also. So then immediately Prataprudra says that I can think of only Kashi Mishra's house. So we'll arrange his accommodation over there. But then anyway, when Mahaprabhu comes back, here Prataprudra is so desperate to meet Mahaprabhu, and Lord is just not agreeing only. And devotees tell how he is attached to you. If he doesn't get your audience, he will just give up his body, he will give up his life. Because Prataprudra had proclaimed, Jadi sei Mahaprabhu na pai kripadhan, kiba rajya, kiba deha, sab akaran. If I don't get mercy of that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what is the use of this body and this kingdom? I will just give it up. I just don't want to continue. Tara pratigya morena koribe darshan, mora pratigya tahavina chhadiba jivan. So if it is the vow of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that I will not meet this Prataprudra king because he is king, then it is my vow also, it is the vow of Prataprudra, that without his mercy I will give up my body. So he is determined to commit suicide only, and that is what he has revealed to Sarvam Bhattacharya and other devotees. And Mahaprabhu is not ready. So when Mahaprabhu is told that he is determined like this to get your mercy, and if not, he will give up his body, then Mahaprabhu, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami says, Yadyapi Shunya Prabhura Komala Yaman Tathapi Bahire Kahe Nishthura Vachan. So Mahaprabhu, when he heard it, at heart his heart softened, became very soft. Oh, the king understood the topmost thing in devotional practice, to get the mercy of the Lord. And if one is not able to get the mercy, one should be ready to give up his body also. King has reached that state of determination, that level of determination. So this is perfection. So internally Mahaprabhu's heart melted, softened. Tathapi bahire kahe nishthuro vachan. But externally he says very harsh words, very cruel words. So he says, oh, so you all want me to go to Cuttack to meet the king, to shower all my blessings upon him? So now who will expect that Mahaprabhu should go to the king in Cuttack? King is ready to go to any extent. He has said, I will give up my life. So won't he come from Cuttack to Puri? As soon as he is informed by devotees, Mahaprabhu is called, come. Immediately he will come running only. So not that Mahaprabhu needs to go to Cuttack, but Mahaprabhu is speaking such words, very heavy and harsh, cruel words. So you all desire to take me to Katak and give mercy to this king. I don't. Mahaprabhu is very angry. And I have nothing to do with the king who is surrounded by wealth and women. I don't. So this kind of contrasting qualities or opposite qualities are possible in the Lord and in great pure devotees of the Lord. Just like every day morning we have this Natsim Arti. Tava kara kamala vare nakham adbhuta shringam dalita hiranya kashipu tanubhringam keshavadrita narahari rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare. So in this only Jayadeva Goswami is telling, completely contrasting nature. So Tavakara Kamalavare, the palms of Lord Shri Nrsimhadev, lion's palms, they are very soft. Lion's palms also in general are soft, but no comparison to Lord Nrsimhadev's palm. They are supremely soft. In fact, in front of the palms of Lord Nrsimhadev, the palms of lion will appear very hard. So, Tavakara Kamalavare Nakham, on these soft palms, there is arrangement of nails which are very hard. Nakham Adbhuta Shringam, they are very sharp, pointed, and that's how, just little bit and open heart surgery. Hiranyakashipu died on the spot. So, we can see two contrasts in the body of Lord Nrsimhadev mentioned by Jayadeva Goswami. So that's how. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also met Gadadhar Pandit. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was leaving for Vrindavan, so that time he is going with some associates. And it's for sure that Gadadhar Pandit cannot come because he has taken Kshetra Sannyas. He has his deities, Tota Gopinath. They are in the temple and he is worshipping them daily. So Mahaprabhu is not going to take. But when Gadadhar Pandit saw that Mahaprabhu is going to Vrindavan, then he also started accompanying the Lord. Gadadhara Pandita yabe sangete chalila kshetra sannyasana chadiyah prabhure nishedhila. So Mahaprabhu stopped him. Pandit kahe yahan tumi sei nilachal. Mahaprabhu said, you are a kshetra sannyasi. You are supposed to be in Jagannath Puri. Kshetra, that is Sri Purushottam Kshetra. You have taken sannyas there, so you stay here only. So you cannot come with me. How can you give up your, just like here, like yatra is there, so many devotees may go, but at least you have to stay back to take care of Radha Madan Mohan. Not that everybody goes, Madan Mohan will take care of himself. No need to worry. No, here Kshetra Sannyasi is one person only. He only has to take care. But he is going, and what is he saying? He is saying that, Yahan tumi sei Nilachal. Oh Lord, wherever you are, that is Nilachal. So when I travel with you, that is Kshetra Sannyas only, because you are Jagannath Puri personified. Kshetra Sannyas mora yaukar rasatal. He said, hell with my Kshetra Sannyas. I don't care. I am going with you. So Mahaprabhu becomes very angry. Prabhu kahe iha kara Gopinath sevan. Mahaprabhu is still mild, saying, please stay back here and serve Gopinath. Pandit kahe koti seva tvat pada darshan. He says, crore times more I will serve Gopinath by always taking darshan of your lotus feet, which will be visible only when I travel with you. So please let me travel with you. So he is giving his justification and Mahaprabhu is requesting him. Prabhu kahe chheva chhadi be amaya lage dosh. If you give up the service to the deities, Tota Gopinath, it will be my fault, because I am your superior. I have engaged you in that service. So it will be my fault. Ihara hi seva kara amara santosh. If you stay here, it will be my satisfaction. So Mahaprabhu has told in clear terms. Pandit kahe sabadosha amara opar. He says, oh no, it's not your fault. Whatever fault, if at all anybody consider, it is all my fault. Let it come on me. Toma sange na jaiba yaiba ekeshwar. Okay, chalo, I will not go with you. I will go alone. You will walk that way. I will go by this way. It's parallel only going. So he's going with Mahaprabhu, but he's saying, I will not go with you. Going with Mahaprabhu means just next to him. And not going with you means some distance. You keep some 5 feet, 10 feet, 15, 20 feet and all that. So he's giving nice justifications. Ai ke dekhite jaiba na yaiba toma lagi pratigya seva tyaga dosha tara ama lagi ama bhaki. I shall go to see Sachimata, but I shall not go for your sake. He is saying, I will go to meet Sachimata on the way. I shall be responsible for the abandoning of my vow and service to Gopinath. एत बोली पंडित गोसाई पृथक चलिला, कटक आसी प्रभु तारे संगे आनाइला. So he was walking, keeping some distance from Mahaprabhu, and he was going. When it came to Katak, Mahaprabhu called him closer. पंडितेर गौरांग प्रेम भोजन ना जाय, प्रतिज्ञा श्री कृष्ण सेवा छाड़ी तृण प्राय. No one can understand the loving intimacy between Gadadhar Pandit and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Gadadhar Pandit gave up his vow and service to Gopinath just as one gives up a piece of straw. So Prabhupada in the purport says, this kind of loving affection can be understood only by very confidential devotees. Ordinarily, no one can understand its purport. Tahara charitre prabhu antare santosh. Internally, Mahaprabhu was very happy to see Gadadhar Pandit's attachment to be with him and traveling with him. Tahara haite dhari kahe, tahara hate dhari kahe, kari pranaya rosh. But externally, Mahaprabhu caught his hand and exhibited his anger of love. प्रतिज्ञा सेवा छाड़ी बे ये तुम्हारा उद्देश्य, से सिद्ध हैला छाड़ी आइला दूर देश. You have abandoned Gopinath's service and broken your vow to live in Puri. All that is now complete because you have come so far. So, okay, fine, till now. So now enough is enough, we sing. Amara sange rahite chah vancha nij sukh, tomara dui dharma jai, amara haya dukh. Your wanting to go with me is simply a desire for sense gratification. In this way, you are breaking two religious principles, and because of this, I am very unhappy. Mahaprabhu is now very angry. So he is saying this is your sense gratification. So earlier we find Mahaprabhu very soft. He is just requesting Gadadhar Pandit that you stay here and serve Gopinath. But now he is very hard. Why? Because Lord's service cannot be abandoned. And Gadadhar is, so to say, in the Leela, is just not understanding this point. So Mahaprabhu is making in clear terms now. Mora sukha chaha yadi nila chale chal. Now very clearly, if you want my happiness, then you go back to Nilachal. Amara shapat yadi ar kichubal. He gave him the shapat only. Now don't speak anything. Shapat hai tumhe meri. If you want to please me, go back to Nilachal. Don't say this, so don't say that. Enough. You will simply condemn me if you say any more about this matter. He is made speechless only. Mahaprabhu is so heavy, so harsh, so apparently cruel. Pandit Gadadhar has given so many justifications, but that's not to the liking of Mahaprabhu. Etabali Mahaprabhu nauka te chadila. Mahaprabhu sat in the boat. Murchita haya pandita tathai padila. And Gadadhar Pandit fainted on the ground. Pandite layya yaite sarvabhauma agya dila. Mahaprabhu in the boat only told Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, take him back. Take him. Mahaprabhu is not getting down from the boat and going, oh Gadadhar, I never expected that you would fall like this. No, okay. No, are you okay? Nothing. He's just going. Bhattacharya kahe, utha ache prabhura lila. Then Bhattacharya woke him up, got him up and then took him back. So this is how the Lord is, and this is how pure devotees are. They are not driven by their personal fear or material desire. Rather, they are conducted only by the Lord's desire or Guru's desire. And for that reason, they are very heavy if required. Just like after the departure of Srila Prabhupada on that day, 14th November, then so much of commotion in the disciples, who were quite early disciples only, in one sense they were new only. Hardly anybody has spent, senior most is like 10, 12 years old. So many devotees crying like anything we have seen in Your Ever Well-Wisher movie. So much, because how would we conduct our devotional practices and how the whole of ISKCON would be carried forward now without the able guidance of Srila Prabhupada. So they were like, it was like all fuses were blown off. And so everybody is crying, but somehow some things have to be done, they are being done. But devotees were surprised that His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj was not crying at all. And he was doing this activity, that activity, like Prabhupada's body, like whatever is taken in the palanquin to be put, and then it is to be carried to 7 temples of Vrindavan. And he is there around, he is guiding, okay, next temple, this temple. And he was not crying at all. So devotees were wondering. And they also misunderstood him that he is so hard-hearted. Yes, we know he is like a go-getter, or he accomplished so many things for Prabhupada. So only hard-hearted fellow only, like him only can accomplish so many things. So he is like this. So So devotees in the mind were committing offense or thinking wrong about him. So after Prabhupada's body was put in samadhi and that structure was made. And for now, immediately samadhi structure won't be built. It will take few months. That would be eventually. So now all the rituals to be done for an acharya's body to be put in samadhi, etc., are all over. After all this was over, then Tamal Krishna Maharaj burst into tears like anything. He was crying and crying and crying. Because now Prabhupada is no more physically, Vapu. Only Vani is there, and it's not so easy to carry forward such a huge mission, worldwide mission with thousands of devotees, hundreds of temples, and so many activities. Without Prabhupada inspiring there, to be there to inspire, how to go ahead. So, and personally, he was so much attached to Prabhupada. He was Prabhupada's man, Prabhupada's right hand. Any leader failed in doing any very unthinkable job, service, then Prabhupada would say, call Tamal, he will do it. And sure enough, he would be called, he would do it. For Prabhupada, he achieved so many things. So now he is not going to have Prabhupada's association. So he was into tears. When he was into tears, then devotee understood, oh, we understand he has love for Prabhupada. But till now he did not cry because so many rituals to be performed. Because if he also was into tears and not able to have proper frame of mind, then how would the rituals for putting Acharya's body in samadhi would be done if he did not take that lead? So he had to control all his emotions. So he controlled them for the service of Prabhupada. And when that service is done, now no more need of controlling such emotion, then he burst into tears. So emotions have to be under control. Especially for service, one should not allow the material emotions to go here and there. That's why one needs to be under intelligence. Intelligence guided by Guru Sadhu Shastra. Otherwise one will get carried away. So one should not get carried away. Similarly, Prabhupada also we find when once he came to Mayapur property, our ISKCON temple was not built, but he came, and when he reached the premises, that main gate, entrance gate, then he heard that some of his god brothers in Chaitanya Math were saying, what kind of disciple? Guru Maharaj Samadhi is there, and he doesn't have the courtesy also to stop and pay obeisances, wait for a while. He's just going directly to his temple. So Prabhupada, when he heard it, he was so upset, so broken hearted. He said, what do they understand? That am I not following the mission of Sri Chaitanya, Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur? I am always with my spiritual master. I am out there everywhere on his mission only. Not that I have my own separate mission. So what these people are making comments. So one is able to control the emotions also, one who is very much attached to the instructions of the spiritual master. And such a person will be harder than thunderbolt sometimes if somebody goes against the instructions of the spiritual master. And other times when one is following the instruction of his spiritual master, one will be softer than rose petals also. So this contrasting nature, these two opposite qualities are possible only in the Supreme Lord and in his pure devotees. So that's how we should also conduct ourselves. We should not get carried away by emotions. One becomes very emotional, very moody, and then one is at the peak of one's enthusiasm at one point of time when one sees that life is going according to his desires. And other time when he finds so many odds are against him or so many things are pulling him down. So then one becomes very disturbed, one becomes hateful to devotees and stops coming to temple. So this kind of extremes should not be there. One should be in the middle, should steadily practice Krishna consciousness without getting carried away by the mental moods. The mood should be as per the mood of the superiors. So it requires certainly great practice, chanting particularly Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Because at chanting time only we'll find 2 hours, so many emotions will come to surface. Oh, yesterday he said like that, and how did he insult me yesterday, and why that did not happen. So many emotions will come. So one who battles there, fights there, and keeps all the emotions aside and goes on chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Such a person shows that he is preparing himself to always keep his moods aside and always listen to the mood, the desire of the superiors. So at the chanting time, Guru has given the supreme instruction. My dear disciple, please chant Hare Krishna and try to chant as attentively as is possible. So you have to yato nishalati manaschanchala astiram. Whenever and wherever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, you pull it back and focus on the higher self. So one who takes the instruction of the spiritual master at the time of chanting very seriously and chants very nicely, such a person in other 22 hours will be possibly will be able to keep the emotions aside and just Guru Mukha Padma Vakya chitte te koriya aikya arna kori ha mane asha. There is no other desire. I don't have my personal desire. I only conduct myself by the desire of my superiors, desire of my spiritual master, desire of the Supreme Lord that is comes through the devotees, pure devotees, spiritual master. Okay, any question? No question? Okay, comment. His Grace Anandmay Prabhu can make some comment. Hare Krishna. Yes, one question will have.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the session, Prabhu. So you told in the beginning that Kshatriyas have desire, material desires, and that is why they ask for something, and the other Kshatriya has to fulfill that.
Take it closer to your mouth. I could not hear properly.
Hello, is it audible, Prabhu?
Huh.
So, Prabhu, you told that Kshatriyas have material desires, and and whatever they ask for, the other Kshatriyas has to give. Like in the case of Jarasandh, we saw. You're telling he was so graceful. Yeah, charitable. Thank you, Prabhu. So, does that mean that when Krishna, Arjuna, and Bhima came to Jarasandh, were they also affected by material desires?
No, not at all. Lord, what material desire is completely spiritual. No question of material desire. Lord's whole being is spiritual only. And Bhima and Arjuna are his pure devotees. Lord has taken them there. And Kshatriya, not necessarily they'll have only material desire. That depends on how much they follow their guru, who is following the message in parampara. Just like we have Amrish Maharaj, we have Yudhishthir Maharaj. So many great Kshatriyas are described in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. They are all pure devotees. They were not having material desire. In fact, in the court of Ambarish Maharaj, there were deities and they were being fanned, and he himself was doing all the arti and everything. Every affair was conducted for the pleasure of the deities only. Just like here we say for the pleasure of their Lordship Shri Radha Madan Mohan. Like that, his whole life, his speech, his actions, his words, and his thoughts, they're all dedicated to the Lord. So not necessarily that Kshatriya depends. If he's Rajarshi, he will be pure devotee many times. But to the degree he is not following his guru and the message of the Supreme Lord, to that degree he will be materialistic, like Duryodhan. He was also ruler, but he was conducted only by his personal motives, personal materialistic desires. So as far as Bhima and Arjun go, there is no question of their having material desires. They are just having the desire to please the Lord. Apparently in Bhagavad Gita, the setting is done that he has his desire and thinks that how can I kill my relatives. That is arrangement of the Lord so that we all get the message of Bhagavad Gita. But otherwise Arjun is always a pure devotee of the Lord. So many places he is glorified. Okay. Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, many of you may be aware, in case you are not aware, His Grace Sundarshan Prabhu is the PDC trainer in Pune. You know the Yellow Brigade devotees? So, he is the main caregiver for that group, and also along with him Antardeep Prabhu and Revatipati Prabhu. These three are the main teachers of PDC group in Pune. Sundarshan Prabhu is one of the very early day devotees, 95-96 batch. In that batch he became devotee in one of the first batches which joined ISKCON Pune temple. So he is very expert in speaking on Chaitanya Bhagavat, Chaitanya Charitamrita with beautiful verses just like you heard. Also about the Acharyas and all, speaks very sweetly. He's here for a couple of days more. Hari Bol!
ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, शिल प्रभुपाद की, समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदी।